how have you been? What's new in the life of Al?
I've been well. I'm sure, with the whole quarantine thing, people are doing what they need to do to survive and also get to the gym and that sort of thing. I think Pat Tate, the owner of CrossFit 952, which
Yep.
credit to him when this all happened. He was really quick to pivot from doing workouts in the gym and then going online and that sort of thing. And we sent people home with equipment. We've heard that throughout the CrossFit world as well. But he pretty much drove the bus, if you will. So all of us are still doing home workouts.
Awesome.
Some of us will go to the park and do our workouts there. There'll be like 4 of us or whatever, and just getting it done and just trying to stay on top of it. But I'm sure you've heard the governor of Minnesota came out and announced that it looks like we're on another 2-week closure till June 1st. So, we're all excited. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do Murph, but we might have a game plan for that as well. So,
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
We're all crossing our fingers to, that'd be the workout to come back to, be Murph, right? So,
yeah, nothing like a bunch of home workouts like air squats and push-ups to get you ready for a bunch more air squats and push-ups.
Exactly. But otherwise, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing well. Thank you.
You're welcome, Al. So where did your journey begin on this road to where you are now?
Yeah, so, it would be 2016, July, is when I decided to join CrossFit. And even then, I was at about 422 pounds.
Okay.
But my heaviest was 485 pounds just a few years before that. So, truth be told, I was in a very terrible spot. Just a couple of years before 2016, I had a heart attack.
Okay.
I had 3 stents because of that. So I take that as signs of the body just telling me that something needed to change in my lifestyle, because the body was just not where it needs to be. So, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, knee pain, ankle pain, sleep apnea, just to name a few of the things that unfortunately come with being obese. So 2016 was when I was going through, I thought I was going to get gastric bypass. I started losing some weight, but I decided to give it one more chance the natural way. And that's how I got introduced to CrossFit, was through a Groupon that I saw in Atlanta. And I called up this guy named Dorian Shockey of CrossFit Resurgence. And I told him, how heavy I was. And I said, hey, before I decide to go under the knife and change the insides of me, maybe I'll give this a go. And he told me to come in and talk to him. And yeah, dude, I tell Dorian that I'm very thankful for that connection that day, because he saw the severity of the situation that was presented to him, and his response and his I needed to hear what he said. And basically he said, I'm willing to help you, but you have to show up and do the work. And no words were truer. I needed to hear that. No words were more truer then. So at 422 pounds, he worked with me individually for a couple of weeks. And then I had to go through fundamentals twice, because, mobility wise was just a big challenge at that weight, even though I'm a big guy, like a tall guy. And then when he said, I think you're ready for your workout, go join a regular class, I was a little hesitant, but did it. And, it was a good feeling. And I still remember that day vividly, because it was my first workout in the regular general pop class. And some people that I've recognized come and go in the gym, yet when they saw me join the class, as they finished, they came over and they were like, come on Al, let's go, let's get it done. And I had no idea who these people were, like name-wise. And so it was a big deal for me. Like, looking back at it, I went home and I thought to myself, like, these people are invested and want to see me do well. Why am I not invested in my own health? So I credit a lot of this to the community as well. Like, they really pushed me through to get it going. So CrossFit with Resurgence in 2016. By February of 2017, I had lost about 80 pounds.
Okay.
And then by that time, I transitioned to Minneapolis for work.
Okay.
And I found CrossFit 952, and that's been my home since. So total weight loss since my heaviest is about 240 pounds.
That's awesome, Al.
Thanks, buddy. It's a lot of work. It's been a lot of, sweat and tears, you name it, blood, sweat, and tears. But man, it feels good. It really does. And I've learned a lot about myself. And if I may, when I transitioned to Minnesota, I was really worried because I didn't know anyone here.
Yeah.
All I know is that Minnesota was cold, and I didn't want to lose the momentum I had, right? Like there was no support group. So I was really worried. But looking back at it now, I recognize the two things that were important in my life at that time was my health and employment.
Okay.
And coming here, not knowing anyone, I think it was a test to see how bad I wanted it, right? Like how bad did I want this health journey to continue?
Yeah.
Because at that point, it would have been all me to either just come up with an excuse of why not to continue or keep going, right? So I got lucky. I found some really good people. I went over to CrossFit the Firm first for a couple of months, a Groupon, and then essentially found CrossFit 952, and I am there now, and I coach there once a week as well. So
that's awesome. So you went and got your level 1?
I did. Even that, right? Like I was really, when was it? It was May of 2018, just shy of my 1-year anniversary, and 2018? Yeah, 2018. And Pat Tate, he was the one that said, hey, I think we should talk about the next part of your journey. I think you'd be a great coach. Maybe you should think about getting your level 1. And my response back was like, are you kidding me? Like, Pat, I can't even do a lot of the movements you asked me. Why would I be a good coach? And he says, well, think of it this way. Like the analogy he gave was, think of Belichick, right? When he's a coach. So
yeah.
CrossFit is like a team. Like he doesn't know how to throw a touchdown. He has a quarterback coach that teaches all of that stuff. So you'd be, just overseeing all that, and people respond well to you. So I said, well, let me think about it, dude. And then 2 weeks later, and I'm not lying to you, 2 weeks later, I get a call from my coach in Atlanta, Dorian Shockey, and he says, hey, you got a few minutes? I was like, yeah, what's up? He goes, I think it's time to talk about the next part of your journey. I think you should go get your level 1. And I swear to God, I said, are you talking to Pat Tate? Mind you, they don't know each other, right? Like,
yeah.
And I go back and say, that's a sign of a really good coach, right? When they see possibilities and they see things before you can, identify your strengths before you even can. That's a sign of a really good coach, right? And you can push you and nudge you to like be uncomfortable. So I have those two guys to thank for getting me where I'm at today. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
So got my level 1. Yeah, thanks, man. Got my level 1 and started doing some things with Pat and eventually coaching once a week there as well. So
that's really cool.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Who inspired you, like growing up and then now during your CrossFit career to like be Al, I guess?
That's a good question. So who inspired me? Like, I would love to sit here and tell you someone like Junior Seau or Troy Polamalu, like those big Polynesian stars who've made a mark for themselves in their own sport, right? But truth of the matter is, I was born and raised in a single parent home. My mother, and this might be a different answer, but my mother and my grandmother had a lot of influences of the person who I am. So when we talk ethics and that sort of thing, a lot of their teachings I took to heart. Like, it's going back to like doing the best you can and treating other people the way you want to be treated and working hard, doing the best you can for that day and in that moment. So I credit those two strong women, the person who I am today. who inspires me, I gotta tell you, there's athletes in my gym that when and I'm sure we all do this, right? Like I do a lot of negative talk as well. Sometimes I don't have the days when I'm in there and I'm like, this isn't so good. Why are we doing this? Why am I even running a mile? Pat, what are we doing? But then I quickly recognize, I have Nancy who, she's she's a challenging, she has her own challenges and whatnot, but she comes in and she works hard. We have people who come in. We have an adaptive athlete as well, Jeff, who uses the wheelchair, who comes in, does his best. So those guys motivate me and push me because I quickly recognize this pity party or this negative talk I have in my head, yet compared to other people, when I look over and see them working hard, it pushes me to work hard as well, So
Yeah.
I'd have to say those are the other guys that inspired me to continue on this journey as well. So.
Awesome. I like it.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. What lessons have you learned along the way?
It's a good one. Man, I'm going to be real honest here. I tend to not have confidence or self-belief in myself a lot of times, and I tend to hide from that in many ways. So I know that's a weakness of mine. So this journey, though, has taught me to be okay with being uncomfortable, because that is where growth and opportunities of growth flourish, right?
Yep.
So as much as, I've warned you that these interviews are not natural for me, I'm not a natural storyteller but I recognize it has to be done. When CrossFit approached me to do that story, I had second thoughts about it because I didn't know what was going to happen and how that was going to be portrayed. But, leave it to Pat and Dorian to both say, hey, man, think about it. If this helps one person who is like dealing with some weight issues and all of these other health issues that you had, sees your story and can change their life around, wouldn't you want that? And so again, I've come to recognize that there's some growth abilities or opportunities for me doing this as well. So, and then also, I've learned a lot about just digging deep. I have this talk about it. Yesterday, me and my buddy did a workout where you run a mile, you come back, you do 300 lunges, and then you run a mile and back. And so I'm not a runner. I hate running. Like burpees and thrusters and running. If there is ever a workout with those three elements in it, it's probably a rest day for me, right? But I remember the first one just felt awful, and you just have to find another gear. And I'm learning that about myself. Like, you just kind of find another way of turning that situation and turning off that mindset and being positive about what you're doing at that moment. Many other people don't have the opportunity to do, right? So you have to
correct
blessings. So
and now being like in this time where we're on basically government lockdown, how you said it earlier that you were still being able to go outside and work out with your friends. Like if this would have happened back in like 2016, like things might have been different. But now that you've grown over the last like 4 years now of just doing CrossFit, you're more confident. You can go outside and work out with your friends. How good does that feel to be able to go do those things?
It feels great. Like, we were at a neighborhood and it was probably funny because everyone was passing by and walking or whatever. And even the neighbors probably feels like in their little park area and just, doing a little workout and lunges and then running. And it feels fantastic, man. Like just the change of lifestyle where I was, like I'm not lying. I used to wear a 5 or 6 XL shirt. Like 5 or 6. I'm now down to like a 2X or an XL, depending on who the make is.
That's awesome.
I used to wear a size 58 waist jeans. I wish I would have brought like a little, demo, but like, I mean, size 58, 60. And now I'm down to like, I can wear a 36, 38 pants. So life is completely different. And you're right, like to your point, even though I struggle sometimes, I have to keep reminding myself of these gains. And to be transparent as well, I have some COVID weight,
Yeah.
So it's awesome that I still go out and work out with my friends at the park and whatnot. But if I'm being absolutely transparent, I've gained some weight, and that all goes back to nutrition. It's something you and I learned through CrossFit. Like with anything, it's all about nutrition. So I know what the playbook says. I've done the playbook before. It's now a matter of recommitting myself to that playbook and getting my nutrition back on course. Nothing crazy. So, but I'm excited about the gyms opening up June 1st.
Me too.
Everyone else in Minnesota is. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
I'm excited. I have to go find a new gym. So I'm excited to see what happens when June comes around.
Yeah, where are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I am officially unemployed as of last week.
Oh no, I'm sorry, dude.
It's all good. I've dove headfirst into this. So, but yeah, I'll find a new gym sometime. Like we have to adapt to life, and this is things that happen. And now I get to like, if I was working, like if the gyms were open, I wouldn't be able to do this interview at 7:15 at night because I'd still be coaching.
Right.
So we'd probably have to do it on like a Saturday or a Sunday morning, which you just have to look at it in like a silver lining. Like there's a lot of people out there that like, I guess obviously they have to work from home, but like I talked to some other people about this, like you have so much time right now to like work on yourself and do something you've always wanted to do. Even if like you're working from home, you can like knock out all those extra hours that you commute to and from work every day to put it towards something that like you've wanted to do forever, which is awesome. And then, so yeah, but enough of my tangents.
No, I wish you all the best. You're a great coach, and
Well,
let me know where you end up. I'd love to drop in and get some tips, man. So
I'll just reach out to Pat.
There you go.
Where
are you now? Like, are you in Minneapolis or?
Yeah, I live in Brooklyn Center. So
okay.
Yeah. So Al, who helped you find your work ethic?
Who helped me find my work ethic? Man, this is probably a lame answer to go back to, my mom and my grandmother again. But those two women were hardworking folks, man, and I credit them a lot for the person that I am today. My grandmother especially. She was a Catholic woman. Prayer 6 a.m. in the morning, mass every Sunday. If she could go to mass every day, she would. But when it comes to work ethic, I probably have to credit those two beautiful souls for the person that I am today.
That's awesome. What are some of your big future plans that you have, Pat or Al, for all this stuff?
There's no grand scheme plan, to be honest. All I know is people have helped me along my journey, and if I can help in any way change someone's story in any way positively, that's where I see I play that role in. And if my contribution to my local gym at 952, if anyone walks in there and hears about it, and I want to coach them along to get to a healthy spot, that's where I want to make a difference at, right? And even doing these, if one of these podcasts, one of your members in your audience sees it and they're like, hey, I don't know if this guy can do it, what's my excuse, right?
Yeah.
And that's just me, man. I like even on CrossFit.com or CrossFit page, that was an inspiring thing for me. That was just, I think she was like 85 and she was just doing, getting up and down on the chair. you know, and it reminds me like, dude, what's your excuse? Why are you bitching about little things? She's doing, you know what I mean? Like we tell
Yeah.
people, show up to the gym and do the best version of you in that hour and dedicate that 1 hour to yourself. You know, we talk about self-care. That's it, you know? So I just want to make a positive change somewhere. And if that's where it lies, you know, a local contribution, then that may be. But no, there is no great grand, you know, I'd love to say, hey, I'm heading to the games, you know, I'm working out to make it to the Masters or whatever. But, I don't, you know, maybe never say never. But no, I don't have any big schemes or big game plan, you know, of where this takes me. So.
Okay. Are you going to do, if they open up again, are you going to do any like local competitions or throwdowns anytime soon?
I love that you asked that question. So my first competition was last September, and I did what is it? The competition that you can compete in for a novice. Why is it escaping me? Anyway, I did it out in Colorado with a partner, a guy that used to go to our gym in 952, and I was a nervous wreck. Festivus, sorry, I did Festivus.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was exciting, man. It was awesome. I couldn't catch my breath because of the, you know, mile high city.
Yeah.
And, you know, something I thought I was good at the rower, you know, I could pull the rower pretty good here in Minnesota. I get to Colorado and you really feel that the air, the thin air up there. Competition-wise, yeah, I'm not a big competitor, but someone threw out the idea of maybe doing a team competition for, what do you call it, Wadapalooza, because I guess they have an entry there. So we're fiddling with the idea, and of course with COVID and all the other competitions closing down, who knows? But no, I definitely want to see how I can challenge myself. Maybe doing an individual competition somewhere, and if not, I love team competition because I feel like they push, you know, your teammates help push each other, and then when it comes for you to shine on certain elements where they may be weak at, you know, you can push the team on that. And then when it comes to, so I think I really like the team aspect and might want to explore that. So yeah,
that'd be awesome. And then Granite Games is here in Minnesota. And they even though like it's shut down or postponed for now, like they secured the Viking Lakes over in Egan. So it's super close to all of us now. So
yeah, exciting.
I'm so stoked. Like it was supposed to happen like June 4th or something, or like around that time. So like if we open back up, I mean, they could potentially host it, but like that's exciting having that there because they have scaled competitions, so like teams of 3, I think. So you and whoever else decides to jump in with you can do that one.
Yeah, we got to qualify though, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So Pat has actually done that competition a couple of times with, as a team. So yeah, we've been up to St. Cloud, and that was a great venue as well. But obviously, the Granite Games has gotten so big, they've outgrown that venue, right? So exciting news when we all heard it was coming here in Minnesota, because there's a lot more things. I mean, sorry, Minneapolis, because there's a lot more things to do in Minneapolis, St. Paul area compared to St. Cloud. So yeah, I think it's a big win for the CrossFit game, for the CrossFit Granite Games to be hosted here locally. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. I don't know about you know, we'll see. We'll see. Never say never, right?
Okay. And then we first met at CrossFit Edina in 2017 at a charity event. Did Pat get you into that one too?
Yeah, and so remember, I just joined his gym in April of 2017, and then, you know, one of the guys knew someone at Edina who was putting on that benefit, and so yeah, that's where we met. And that's when I saw you doing your thing, and I was like super impressed. I was like, look at this guy, you know. It was just really great. So yeah, I walked over and I was like, just really awesome, the sort of thing that you do, and it was really motivating and inspiring, and
yeah,
I love it, dude. So
I saw you were wearing an Atlanta something, there's something on you
Yeah.
with Atlanta. I was like, did he just drop in here today and it happens to be this? And
Right.
then Pat told me that you were at his gym, and I was like, oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I joined Pat's gym, I was still about 320-ish, 315-ish when I joined
Okay.
Pat's gym. Yeah, so there's a lot of work that he and I have put together, to get me where I am today. So, but yeah, no, Pat's been, he's been a huge help. Not only him, but the community as well. All the coaches, Nicole and Sammy and everyone else that's been involved in my journey. So again, I am very lucky because I've heard some people's stories not go so well. And I'm not trying to bad mouth, but like, I'm just a very lucky dude to have found two different CrossFit communities who have been just a blessing for my own journey. And yeah, I'm pretty lucky. But we also know, because you started Mankato, right? After,
I had a long-ish journey to get to Mankato. So I'm from a small town in Wisconsin,
okay.
and that's where I started CrossFit 6 years ago. And then I got my level 1 5 years ago. And then I got offered an internship in Florida that I took, and I slept at the gym for the whole 4 months that I was there. And then I did game day in Eau Claire right before I moved to Florida, and like just became best friends with the game day crew, and then moved to Florida. And then game day was doing game day Mankato, and I hadn't seen my family in like 2.5 months. I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just fly back. I'll hang out and then see my family, fly back to Florida. And then the day I was supposed to fly out of Florida, Ben, the owner at the time, called me and he's like, hey, man, I looked at the roster. You're not competing. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just coming to hang out. And he's like, nope, there's an empty spot. You're competing. I was like, awesome.
Right.
So I flew there, landed in Minneapolis at midnight, and then got driven by my parents down to Mankato at 6 in the morning. And then I flew back Monday morning at 6 a.m. And then one of the ladies that used to work on the medical staff
Yeah.
posted that she was coming down to Fort Myers, which is like 5 minutes away from where I was coaching in Florida. And I was like, oh, you should swing by my gym. So she swung by, mentioned that Ben might be hiring. And I was like, okay. So I called him the next day. I was like, yo, Caitlin was here. She told me to call you. And he's like, oh, do you want a job? I was like, or if you offer me one. And
Right.
he told me that they were about to expand the gym. No one knew besides his wife and Franny, the head coach. And
Right.
he's like, I can hire you in like 2 weeks. When are you coming? I was like, give me a week. So
Nice.
I gave my boss a week's notice, flew back to Wisconsin, hung out in Wisconsin. Then I got to Mankato in 2016.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's a great story, man. That's
Thanks.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Ben and I met Franny a couple of times as well. We went down. There was another benefit for one of the members. What was his name? Brody. There was a benefit for one of the members' kid who was at the hospital, and
Okay.
so got to go down to Mankato and hang out and
Yeah.
go in there. But I think there were a few gyms in the Minnesota area that did that workout that was sent out to everyone, and we raised some money for that benefit as well. So
Yeah.
good people. So you definitely those guys are pretty awesome. So yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. So, what are you going to do now when the gym's back open? Are you going to take on more coaching responsibilities?
We'll see. We definitely, things are changing. I talked to, Dorian in Atlanta, and they're working under some guidelines that the state has put forth to have them open. And
Okay.
I think it's going to be the same here for Minnesota. I can't imagine them saying, all right, go do your thing. I'm sure there's going to be something from the governor's office of how you stay open, right, as a
Yeah.
gym. So for that, I think we just gotta wait. But my slot is normally the 4:30 and 6 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And if we need to, there's talk about limiting how many people can be in one class, right?
Yep.
So I haven't had a discussion yet with Pat if we're opening up more slots, but we'll see. I mean, if the help is there, and if I can make it work, absolutely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the gym definitely opening up. I think everyone is, and but we got to play it safe as well. So
Yeah.
but we're excited, man. We're excited. I think everyone should be excited as well. So.
That's awesome. And the last official question I have, what books have you read that you would recommend to people to help them along their way?
So it's funny you asked that because I probably need to reread this again because I just saw it, but it's Chasing Excellence by Ben Bergeron. Yeah, so it's funny, I just picked it up. But I told you earlier that I gained some COVID weight gain, right? I'm gonna call it. So I need to refocus. But this book, man, it's he doesn't tell you anything that you don't already know, but he puts it in a perspective that's relatable. So I like, some of the topics that he covers are like, grit and commitment and embracing the suck, I think is one of the things, staying positive and confident, which I need to work on, right? The confidence part.
Yep.
And my favorite part is the humility as well. So it's just a good book. It's a good read overall. It's not that, you could probably do it in less than a day, but highly recommend it. But yeah, I just so happened to was over there and picked it up. So if you're in the CrossFit world and hasn't, and Ben Bergeron is a big star and coach star and Coach Catchman and everything. So he's definitely has some good advice and how to look at things differently. I think that's been part of, and that's the thing. Mindset, having that mindset. I still am challenged with that, because again, you don't live. What I tell people is you don't get to 500 pounds because you're happy, right? No one gets to that amount of weight because life is dandy. So, but those were terrible times, man. Like I was drinking heavily, eating terribly. So to come from that to where I am today, I am still challenged to remind myself and change that mental aspect to remind myself that, I'm in a much better space than I was. So when I complain and I whine in my own head, it's a lot of self-negative talk, but books like these help you get through it and try to change your attitude and your mindset a little bit to get through it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
I gotta throw it back at you. What books do you recommend your readers take a look at? So maybe you can give me some tips.
So I would suggest Shoe Dog. It's the memoir of Phil Knight, the guy that created Nike. So it talks about all of like his struggles and all the things he's had to overcome to get Nike to where it is now. Like from selling shoes out of the trunk of his car to now being able to like donate $100 million to charities every year. Like, and like going from like 1962 to like 1984 when they signed Michael Jordan. Like that's insane, right? And then I'm currently listening to, I like just listening to books on Audible because then I can listen to it when I'm making coffee or making breakfast or eating breakfast. But I'm currently listening to How Champions Think by Dr. Bob Rotella. It was actually recommended to me by my friend Blair that was on the podcast last week. And so I bought it like 5 minutes later and it's awesome. And then How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the coolest books I've ever read. It was given to me by my boss in Florida. He said it was part of my internship that I needed to read it and take notes. So I read it and then gave it to the other intern, and then he gave it back and I read it again. And then like I put notes in it and he put notes in it. and then I reread it with his notes. So it's been passed around a couple times. But that would be like the best book for anybody that wants to learn how to like be able to make more friends or like more sustainable friendships, I guess, because like quality instead of all of them, right?
Yeah.
But those are the top three for sure.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm gonna have to take a look at that and go to Amazon tonight, maybe pick up those books and get them
There you
delivered.
go.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
well, thank you so much, Al. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the ask, and again, you know, thanks for what you do as well in the community. You go out there
Thank you.
and you're a great inspiration and a great story as well of your own journey. So good
Well,
stuff,
thanks.
man. Keep it
Yeah,
up.
and we'll have to hop on here again soon just to catch up. No recording, nothing, just hang out.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good, buddy.
All right, you have a great night, Al. I'll
All
see
right,
you
you take
later.
care. All
You
right,
too.
later, bye.
Bye.
Bye.